Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on Maybe I Do, a movie about marriage, apparently how awful it is. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 10, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Excuse me, just got back from dinner. Okay. So, the story goes something like this. The couple's getting married, and at the reception, the main characters who are dating are there. And they set the whole thing up so that the girl will catch the bouquet so she could be next to get married. But the guy she's dating has a moment and intercepts the bouquet, and she doesn't consider it a joke, so they have a big fight, and then they don't know if they're gonna stay together. Meanwhile, Richard Gere and Susan Sarandon are having an affair, and they are not married. And then at the same time, Diane Keaton and William H. Macy are having an affair, and they are not married. Well, it turns out they are the parents of both these two, and they see Susan Sarandon is married to Macy, and Richard Gere is married to Diane Keaton, and then they invite the parents over, not realizing who they are, and then they're like meeting their person they're having an affair with. So it's wacky coincidence, and then it's all about whether or not the young couple will get married, and eventually William Macy and Richard Gere duke it out. He asks him, "Are you in love with my wife?" And he says no, and William H. Macy says, "Damn it!" Like he was finally going to get rid of his wife. Yeah, it's not really all that funny in my view. And here's why. Well, maybe I do. PG-13, by the way. I mean, they're trying. I'm not saying they're not trying to be funny. They're kind of trying. The problem is we're in a point in society where marriage is like completely frowned upon for the most part. I mean, this movie frowns upon marriage. You've got literally the parents of both kids having an affair with each other. And like, it's comedy. It's kind of a tragedy, really, that their 4 people are in unhappy marriages, and then their kids are thinking about getting married. Like, what would you think? So let's say you're dating someone for a long time and you're thinking about getting married, and you're kind of right on the brink there, and then you find out your parents are having an affair, and her parents are having an affair with your parents. Like, that would be pretty shocking, you know? It kind of would put a damper on the whole marriage vibe. It's wacky. It's kind of something that would be in a play. Susan Sarandon drinks a lot. I don't know. Susan Sarandon and Diane Keaton. Susan Sarandon looks good in this. I think she's wearing a wig, but she looks good. I mean, they all look a little... The parents look a little too old to be parents. I think William H. Macy's the only one's the right age. Everybody else is like in their 60s and 70s, a little too old, I think. And so I guess it's about how terrible marriage is. This is their affair. I got to say, I'm liking their affair better. There's a scene where Diane Keaton takes her wedding ring off, and then that becomes part of the story because Richard Gere goes to make a point about marriage and then can't find the ring on her finger, and she realizes, oh God, I left it at the hotel. And they all live in the richest part of New York, which really removes it from reality. I mean, it just really removes it out of there. These people are super filthy rich. So, like, you know, this could be a relatable comedy, but I think it's too far too far in the Hollywood mode of, we'll just make them rich and then we don't have to worry about stuff. We can do all kinds of crazy things. And I don't understand why two rich people meet at a motel. They have a scene where Macy and Diane Keaton meet at a motel. They're at least meeting up at a classy hotel. I mean, I think that's Manhattan, right? Isn't that Manhattan, Central Park? So yeah, it feels like more like a play. A play that's insanely unrealistic. That's just going to make joke after joke about marriage. So I don't think these jokes are going to land for most people. People are in these weird relationships now. You know, they're making fun of tradition while tradition is crumbling before our eyes. It kind of doesn't work. It kind of doesn't work. Now, the fan base for a lot of these actors are much older, so that part of it could work then, you know? Richard Gere, Susan Sarandon, William H. Macy. So for some of the audience, I guess it could work, but I don't know what to fix. Do I fix the movie or do I fix society? I mean, if society was better, like if this movie had come out, I'm going to say 30 years ago, like in the 90s, maybe it might have worked. In the 80s, probably. It would have been a little outrageous in the 80s. Now it's just like there's so many people in these extended families now who are, in my view, way too cool with those extended families. Like, I don't think people should be fighting, but they seem a little too comfortable with it. It's a little too like, oh yeah, you know, I'm on my third husband. Like, yeah, there he is over there, hanging out at the party. Like, I don't know. I don't get that. Maybe it's just me. Am I that traditional? I don't know. I mean, I don't think you should be sworn enemies, I guess. That doesn't do you any good, but to be so casual about it feels wrong as well. So, and quite frankly, it's like I always said, comedy has to have some sort of basis in reality that people can relate to. You know, if your boyfriend does a dive to keep you from catching the bouquet, you're going to immediately assume he was kidding, right? It's going to be a joke and everybody's going to laugh. It's not going to be taken as this serious thing that we had to work out our relationship. It's just not. So I don't feel like the screenplay is playing at the height of everyone's intelligence. It feels like it's relying on tropes. It feels like a hotel movie. Let's see what the write-up says. Nothing. No write-up. Yeah, I know, Joe. I mean, it's a good cast. They're not, I mean, I believe them, who they say they are. I just, the whole situation seems too fantastic. And it also seems like the double affair is taken away from the love story between the two kids. Like, you didn't need something that big to... They could have already both been divorced. Both sets of parents could be divorced and not getting along. Or, like, one's divorced and the other one... and they don't really get along, and then one's on the verge of divorce, and they're really close to not getting along. I think it would have been more realistic if maybe one of them was having an affair. Not both of them, with each other's spouses. It's just... It's weird. It's I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy the whole thing. So I kind of can't laugh at it because the setup seems too ridiculous. Yeah, that's it. So first act, they're at this wedding. He intercepts the bouquet, and it causes a breakdown in their relationship. She says, I got to have an answer from you about where we're going and when we're getting married and blah, blah, blah. Now, that's a pretty classic setup. You could do something with that. It's a romantic comedy set up, love story set up. It's fine. It's derivative, but it's fine. It's workable. Second act, they consult with each other's parents who are having affairs with each other and don't know it. Okay? Now, you have to assume that the son has been dating the daughter a long time, probably long enough that they know some names, at least the first name, maybe the last name of the person that their kid is dating. So when they are having these affairs, I guess they could have such a common last name that they don't think, oh, well, that's... And they are in New York, but still, seems like you'd be, I don't know, a little wary that at some point in time you would have heard about the parents of your kid's longtime girlfriend or boyfriend. I don't know. Something about their family. I mean, that was a question I got. Like, what's her family like? But okay, they don't. And they all live in Manhattan. They're all very, very wealthy. So I have little, I can't really relate to that. Plus, like, I mean, is it a New York where, like it is now, falling apart with insane crime? Or it seems like a really nice New York. It seems like they didn't shoot this in New York at all. There's no outside shots that I noticed. Was there? Maybe there's one. Now here's one. That doesn't look like New York City. There's New York City there. Is this just all stock footage? Is this all shot in a sound stage and every outside shot is stock footage? I mean, anyhow, second act is this build up to a dinner between the two parents, and then wackiness ensues as they recognize each other and then try to avoid each other. Then they find out about each other. Then there's a confrontation between the two fathers, and the climax of the movie is whether or not he'll get together with the girl, and then I assume despite all this, they're going to get married anyway. But, I mean, what then is the resolution of the two couples having affairs? Do they both get divorced? That's kind of a downer. Do they work it out? Do they just switch wives? I mean, that would be creepy too. What? I don't know. This is too much. It just doesn't work for me. Maybe I do. Nah, maybe I won't. How about that? Maybe I won't. Too wacky. I think you should have limited it to one affair or no affairs. I mean, it seems like you made the classic screenwriting mistake of going too high. You didn't need two couples having an affair in order to put an obstacle between the young people and whether or not they should get married. They could just be having mild problems, and even that, to a young couple looking at it, could be like, can we handle that? You could have had one set of parents dealing with a younger sibling who's completely intolerable. A teenager who's just nuts. That would be one reason not to get married. You look at kids and go, oh my God, could I have kids? Like, can I handle that? I don't know how my dad deals with that. Dealing with the finances, dealing with not going out to party all the time. I mean, there's so many elements before you get to affair. I mean, you're at a fair. I mean, people kill each other over affairs. They literally murder each other. So I think that's too high. I think they made a mistake here just to give, and they give it away in the trailer. So I already know what's going to happen. I mean, it might have been a surprise if I had just seen the movie and walked into it with no knowledge and you hadn't seen this video. So I say no, this is too much. Too much, too clunky, needed a rewrite. Scale it back. And you got a great cast. It's not like you couldn't have put details in there of this show, like their marriage is on shaky ground. And then maybe at the end, they pull it together, partly for their kids, but partly because they, I don't know, learn an important lesson. Like maybe they don't want to throw away 20, 25 years of marriage over stupid arguments that they really should just get over, that they all learn from each other. It seems a nice positive ending rather than, you know, hey, you want to marry me? I know your dad's shagging my mom and my mom's shagging your dad, but we can get past that, right? Right? Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more bass takes. I'll try not to promote my signings until after Christmas, but if you still want to buy the Pineys, it's at Amazon.com. Links below. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.